Come on in, family. Come on in. Come on in. While I'm waiting for you brothers and sisters to come in, I'm going to go ahead and share this video in a few places. So bear with me one moment. All right.
Something soulful to make your soul full. Let's go. I kind of like this right here. Yeah. Got me feeling some type of way. I told y'all it was musicians that brought me into the truth. Got me up here dancing in the booth. They say the truth shall set you free, give you liberty, trick me. With your lies, you must be kidding me. The end is almost here. Of this captivity, it's time to repent. You free, give you liberty, trick me. With your lies, you must be kidding me. The end is almost here. Of this captivity, it's time to repent. Now watch this. The blessings, the curses, the lesson, the purpose. When we break God's laws, it's aggression, just worship. Don't do it. The kingdom, the promise, the greatness, the honors. I want to live to see the day when Satan's demolished. Now, one time for my sister on the soul track, show this AG. Can I get a soul clap? Old man is dead, and I don't want to go back. 12 tribes of Israel, this is bigger than just pro-black. Some speak of peace, and some prophesy doom. Moral of the story is prepare for the bridegroom. He may come at night, he may come at high noon. Everything is destroyed like winds from a typhoon, always on time. I said your house was never late. Apply the precepts to life so you can elevate. It won't be long before our people's in a better state. And when we get to heaven, damn right, we're gonna celebrate. And I ain't talking about a place that's invisible. Give us our kingdom on earth in the physical. Revelation 5 and 10, because the spiritual church is a scam, so be careful who you listen to and don't be so easily led. Sheep need to be fed. What's understood never needs to be said. So I teach on the corner to student. If my black boots always stay humble and keep my movements right. So the truth shall set you free, give you liberty, trick me. With your lies, you must be kidding me. The end is almost here. Of this captivity, it's time to repent. They say the truth shall set you free, give you liberty, trick me. With your lies, you must be kidding me. The end is almost here. Of this captivity, it's time to repent. Now watch this. Laws and commandments discovered on fragments from the Dead Sea, hidden in caves. We're not physical slaves, a hero, a villain, our women, our children. The nation we're building, hopefully the Most High is willing now. One time for my sister on the soul track, Osh told me rhyme, so I did it on the throwback. Peace to my captain, my gun. I'm only rapping for fun, still working on the man I have to become. And that's a lifelong process, came right from project. And read about the saints wearing white long garments in Revelation 7 and in Revelation 7. I want to take part in the first resurrection, and that's my analysis, don't straddle the fence. No hope for the wicked when the battle begins, cause I tell you the truth, am I there for your enemy? If you know the words of the bridge, then just sing with me. Israel is on the rise, laws and commandments, they saved our lives. Israel is on the rise, laws and commandments, they saved our lives. Israel is on the rise, laws and commandments, they saved our lives. Israel is on the rise, laws and commandments, they saved our lives. Truth. It's time to repent, Israel. That's the real message. Accompanied by the instrumental. Yeah.
Hey, shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom. And welcome to another edition of Maccabees TV. It's your brother, Priest Daniel, Alliance of Israel, Maccabees Alliance Council. Welcome to another edition of our show. I came to you a little bit earlier this morning, and I told you, brothers and sisters, that I'd be right back with another live stream, okay? So I have a guest on today, a brother on today that I consider to be a good brother, man. The brother has always supported myself, my platform, my camp, and Israelites in general. And so I definitely wanted to return the favor and show the brother some love. As you brothers and sisters come into the house, as always, I ask you, brothers and sisters, hit the like button, share the video if you so choose on any platform. And what that does is with the algorithm, that lets people know that we're live and they can come in and join the conversation. Officer Madabar, shalom to you. Lawyer Kahan, shalom to you. Theron, shalom to you. Carlos Clark, shalom to you. Mika in the building. I saw you tag me in something on Facebook, Mika, and then you untagged me or whatever, so I didn't comment on it because maybe it wasn't meant for me anymore. I don't know. Shalom to you anyway. Shalom to everybody. Just a brief announcement. Today is what, the 22nd of January, and I just want brothers and sisters to keep in mind that the summit is coming up in Florida. I don't know if anybody is watching that wasn't aware that there's another Israelite summit coming up in Fort Lauderdale, Florida from the 6th of February through the 9th of February. If you're not aware and you're interested in coming, just leave me a comment on the comment board, not this live comment right now, but when the video goes live after we're done, leave me a comment. I'll give you and forward you to whatever information you need. The point of contact, the easiest probably point of contact for that, you can reach out to Gorilla Hebrew from Sakari, or just leave a comment on the video and I will get you that information as soon as possible. Heart of a Lion, shalom to you as well. So without further ado, I want to bring my brother Knowledge Born on. The brother reached out to me. Yeah. Mika, so you said I'm still tagged in it, but when I went and looked, I didn't see my name there anymore, so I didn't comment. But that was interesting. It was an interesting little article. I didn't get a chance to read it fully yet, but it was an interesting article. I never heard that before. Thea Hamilton, shalom to you. I was in Cali this June. Yeah, definitely want to come back. Got a lot of love out there. I don't know what part of Cali you checking in from, but thanks for watching. And also shout out to everybody that's watching us on Facebook. All right, if you're in the Facebook Maccabees TV group on Facebook, shout out to y'all that's watching over there as well. If you haven't joined the Facebook group for Maccabees TV, next time that you are on Facebook, go ahead and send a request. All right. So without further ado, I want to bring my brother Knowledge Born on the line. No, you're in the Bay Area. I've never been there. That's a goal. Most High will. All praises. Thanks for watching. My brother Knowledge Born on the line. So Knowledge Born, if you can show yourself. And my brother Knowledge Born, welcome to Maccabees TV. For you brothers and sisters that are not familiar with my brother, I'm going to give you just a brief introduction to my brother. My brother is the host of a platform called Do the Knowledge Radio. They also have a group on Facebook as well. And the brother has always supported Israelites. I think just about everybody that you know, that's anybody that's an Israelite, at some point or another has been on his platform. I'm talking about General Hashar, Captain Tazariak, myself, and so many others. The brother always opens up his platform for Israelites. And one of the things I love about this brother and his platform is that when we go there, it's like a second home. We know that we're going to be treated well, we're going to be treated fairly, and he makes sure that we're comfortable. So I really, really appreciate this brother. Sheila Clayton, shout out to you from Minnesota. Eric Carroll, I don't know why it's buffering, King. I couldn't tell you. It might be on your end. So without further ado, brother Knowledge Born, I want you to introduce yourself to the people and give the people a little bit of background about yourself and your platform. Let them know a little something.
All right, Shalom Israel. Kum Yashala. I'm Knowledge Born Allah, host and founder of Do the Knowledge, a radio broadcast that was dedicated to the upliftment and the empowerment of our people, the celebration of our various cultures, spiritual inclinations, and the like. We began the platform August 29th, 2015. So we're going in, and we then had some epic and dynamic guests on. The what I want is that Israel has been a major stake in the development and the propagation of the platform and the program. So I'm honored to be here tonight uh, with Chief Priest Nagala and the Lions of Israel and Israel as a whole to speak about some commonalities that exist between us. And in actuality, there should be no enmity and strife between us. So just here in the space of celebration and veneration through, our ancestral lineages and our ancestral inheritance in regards to our culture commonalities that exist between us. So that's one of the main reasons why there's always been mad love and respect for Israel, for Yasharala, for the tenets, the culture, and the adherence to the culture in regards to you know your cultural practices and that connection to the divine in this finicky type of unabsolute, things change like the weather type of environment. It is very honorable to know that there are brothers and sisters that are out here that are moving around these distractions and are being led in the righteous manner. Um, that have discipline, that have respect, and there's always been love, so there'll always be love. So I guess I'll stop
Right.
right there.
Yeah. So I want to get a little bit into your background a little bit before we actually talk about your platform, if you don't mind.
All right.
One of the things that you told me, right? And I like for other people to tell a story sometimes besides myself, so people can get different perspectives of different stories. Now, you and I never crossed paths, but one of the things that you told me was you used to go to the old school at One West when it was actually at One West. Like you attended the school back in the 90s. So
Right.
I want you to just give a little commentary on that, because you have a lot of people that know nothing about it. People hear stories, and half the stories you hear are false. I'm gonna say it again. Half the stories you hear from people about the old school are false because they were not there and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're telling you what they heard. We talk about, when you hear me talk, it's what I know and what I saw. And you
Right.
actually used to go to the school. So I want you to give people a little
Right.
bit of a background. When you went to this old school at One West back in the days when the elders were still there, all 7 of them, what was the environment like in the school? Like, what was it like? Give the people a little bit of an idea of what it was like back then.
I believe that the remnants are still there. When you still see some strong soldiers, you know that it's not that far away from the root. I used to go up there for classes. I used to go up there for martial arts training. I was up there, and I don't know if people, even realize, like, if they think that there is some attachment or some allure or some inclination towards people coming to Israel now, you got to think about what that was like in '97. You understand what I'm saying? Like the coming, up, in those days and times, and the times earlier. I saw a strong presence and celebration of black manhood and masculinity. You look 20 years later, these things are called toxic. These things, you're celebrated for being passive, not taking strong and bold stances. Even like, I just give an example of the camera situation. The camera situation is newer, for me, and I saw some warriors, out there, and it was a very uh, strong environment that was, strong proponents of family, strong proponents of self defense, strong proponents of research, a great deal. So you can see, the crop, and you can see that the apple hasn't fallen far from the tree. So I saw discipline, I saw camaraderie, I saw brotherhood, I saw, sisterhood, and it was just a beautiful time to see. Like I was actually in classes with Nas. I was actually in classes with Killer Priest. You understand? I remember Hellraiser and a few other people coming through. You understand what I'm saying? Like there was some serious people that came through, and there was some strong brothers and sisters that came through. From my recollection.
Hey,
After that,
brother, one of our strongest, man, Khalid Muhammad used to come through to the class. I keep telling these dudes.
that's real.
I'll keep telling
That
them.
is real.
When y'all see
That is
Khalid
real.
on them debates raging against them so-called Jews and doing
Right.
what Khalid Muhammad did. That's why let me tell you something, man. I know some Israelites want to agree with me. I will always love Khalid. Always. Why? Because I met him twice, and both times I met him, he showed me love. And when he came to that school, unlike the conscious community today, when he came to the school, he didn't come there to try to argue with the elders or confound the elders. He came there to learn. What do you guys know that I don't know? Because I got a debate with some so-called Jews tomorrow. So y'all tell me what y'all know, what books y'all got, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna use
Right.
them. And that's what he did.
Right.
Nowadays, well, I'm just gonna leave it there, man. But it was a beautiful thing. But continue. So you said there was a lot of strong manhood and brotherhood and stuff there. What was it, if you don't mind me asking, what was the first class, or whose class was the first class you ever went to?
I can't even recall.
You remember? Okay.
Yeah, I can't recall it. I know I went to the park for like the martial arts training. I
Yeah.
remember, the classes, and I remember, some of the pamphlets, some of the books that was out back then.
Yeah.
I just don't remember which elder. Um, I don't remember which elder. But
I'm gonna show you something, bro. I don't know if you can see this, right? I'm gonna share. Hey, look at this, man. I was saying, I even know you're gonna say that. It was just sitting on my desk. Look at this, man. Can you see that? You can see it. This is from the old school. This thing is like 25
yeah,
years old.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
like 25 years
Now you
old. Look,
taking
look,
me
look.
back
Let me show you something.
in the time. Right now.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Look, there's stuff like this. This is like 25. I got this when I
Yeah,
first came to the truth, man. It's old. You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? I know what you're talking about. Um, so going back to
If
what
y'all remember, like Nas's earlier influences, if y'all heard, if y'all classic, y'all was listening to like a Israelite God Body album. Just to be honest, you see what I'm saying? That one, and it was written. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, I mean,
Hmm.
just from the title alone. But if you remember, Taking in Blood,
Yep.
you know what I mean? So
Yep.
like, you go back to that, and ain't nobody got to tell you about Killer Free. You see what I'm saying? Like, or
All the Wu-Tang.
Razor,
It came.
or so. Yeah, it was it, and that was another reason why that there, it was love, because it was a respect factor that was there. You see what I'm saying? If you look at half of the camp, divided in half, and you see, brothers that was in the nation of Nerves, and brothers that was in the nation of Israel. You see what I'm saying? Just like that, and it wasn't you see what I'm saying? And it still isn't. You look, my brother Judah Priest, his older brother is Buddha monk. You see what I'm saying? Like that's right in the family.
Yep.
Older brother, younger brother. He got this knowledge, he got this knowledge, and they not beefing. You see what I'm saying? So it's just crazy how we see things artfully misrepresented by design. You know,
Yep.
so I think there's some things that are at work in regards to seeking to find division where there is none.
Right.
Only
Um.
to those who ill informed.
Yeah. If I could just say too, Speed, since you mentioned Nas and Judah Priest, I don't know if you remember. Well, there might have been a little bit before you came into the school, but the whole Wu-Tang Clan came to the Passover that we had at Columbia University in '95. I'll never forget that. And Marshall, who was the head, he brought them up on the stage and let them speak and all that. Israel was a big deal all the way back then. You know what I'm saying? And then it went through its rough spots during the early 2000s. And the Most High is rejuvenating and bringing that spirit back. You know what I'm saying? There were a lot of forces that came against the truth before, and kind of things, you know, brothers got a little wavery, some brothers, but you know, the certain brothers just kept pushing, and the Most High is reviving this truth now because we're in the end. So yeah, it was definitely a beautiful time, man. And I'm sorry we didn't cross paths back then at the school, but we cross paths now, and everything is in the best will of the Most High. Yeah, family, if you just coming in the building, make sure you hit the like button and show love. I have my brother Knowledge Born. He's the host of the show Do the Knowledge Radio. He also has a group on Facebook, so y'all can definitely look him up. Make sure y'all subscribe to his channel, and also make sure you brothers and sisters go ahead and request to be a part of his group. So moving forward, you have a platform, and let me say something. You said something too real quick I want to touch on. You're right, it's a natural progression because you know my story. I've told you many times. I was a Christian who rejected Christianity and became a 5%er. Part of my reason for becoming a 5%er was because of the whole rap thing I was doing. And at the time I was coming up, we all know that the hot rappers were all 5%ers. We all know that, right? So it was like a natural progression for me. And yet I was working with some brothers that were Israelites that would constantly beat me upside my head, and they were actually producing our music. So they kind of got me to come to the school. And when I came to the school, the spirit of the Most High just moved me that was home for me, and I've been in this ever since. So it's definitely a natural progression, you know what I'm saying? Definitely, absolutely. And so I understand, me personally, coming from where I come from, I understand the gods, the dudes that's 5%. I understand the gods. I may not 100% agree with the lessons, but I understand the gods because I was there. You understand what I'm saying? So I definitely understand where they're coming from. You see what I'm saying? And there are some misconceptions and things they teach that I believe, you know what I'm saying? The Bible's a white man's book, King James is white, blah, blah, blah. These are things I believe that I've evolved from. But, you know, a lot of times you build with those brothers, you'll be surprised how much they'll be receptive if you take the time to build with them. But moving on, you founded your platform called Do the Knowledge Radio. So I want to know a little bit more about your platform. What led you to decide that you needed to establish a platform on social media to speak to issues that are affecting our people? What led you to do that? You're muted right now, King. I can't hear you. No, you're still muted. Okay, he went out for a second. He's probably going to come right back in. That's all right. Fryman said Brand Nubians changed his life. Yeah, me too, bro. Me too. You know, and the dude that made me want to rap, man. I'm aging myself now. The dude that made me want to rap, man. I was a huge fan of Big Daddy Kane and Kool G Rap. They made me want to rap. But Brand Nubians and groups like that really, really changed my whole perspective. You there, King?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly now. So I'll repeat the question for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on a second. Sorry.
I grew up in this community. I grew up in this community.
You might want to turn me down in the background, King, because you reacting to me in the background. Mika, I'm gonna answer your question in a little while. Go ahead, Born Knowledge.
I grew up in this community. You know, it wasn't the so-called conscious community when I came. My mother and my father, taught in the community. My father and my mother. My father taught Islam and universal principles. He knew every word of the Bible and the Quran by heart, every word. So he taught from that perspective of law. So it's no surprise what you might hear, a brother or sister say, keep the law.
Brother, we can't hear you. Hello? Knowledge Born, I can't hear you. Yeah, you having some technical difficulties, King. Some people are saying you might want to remove the earphone and then you'll have better reception. That's what people are saying. I don't know if that works for you. But,
Can you hear me?
perfect. Yeah, you sound way better now.
All right. Yeah, I grew up in this community. My mother and my father taught in this community. So the work that I'm doing is directly tied to my lineage, my mother and my father. You know, my mother and my father taught in the community. Um, they helped people. They resurrected the mentally dead in this community. You know, people afflicted with drugs, people afflicted with alcohol, you know, similar to, you know, the work that many of our movements have done before. So whether it was the Nation of Israel or the Nation of Gods and Herbs or the Nation of Islam or, you know, many of these other organizations that existed with, you know, that community outreach work. So my inheritance in this community was just that, you know, continuing on the work of my parents, you know, as a dutiful son. So there was, you know, community work that was being done uh, pre the fall of what is known today as the conscious community, uh, due to these virtual interactions. So if we look at what happened before the fall, we saw a golden era where, you know, different cultures were able to converge on one center point, be respected and loved, and you would see the talents in the greats, the teachers and the student body of the community. They were honored, they were respected. The teachers were respected, and so were the student body. You know, and there was a process to being seen and heard. And, you know, some cultures still carry on those traditions. And, you know, my coming into this particular aspect started about 25 years ago, or more. And so out there doing physical work and, you know, making the effects in the communities where, you know, I worked and lived, it came to a pass when I was in Washington State that we were doing things in the community and we wanted to add a virtual component to what we were doing physically. So, like a virtual complement to what we were doing in the physical community, the work that we were doing with the homeless, you know, those less fortunate, the brothers and sisters involved in the street tribes, things like that. To add a virtual component to that. So, myself and my brother, YG Preach, shout out to him, got together and, you know, came up with the concept of doing a radio show. Until this time, I only known about Blog Talk, you know, through, you know, Red Pill, Blue Pill, Michael Imhotep, you know, that the whole fanfare of everybody that was, you know, going on Blog Talk. I didn't even know, you know, how the whole thing was done. I know I just would call into different shows and things like that. And um, in that time frame, there was an impasse, and that impasse was there was no longer a consistent place to go get information from different sources. So, in order to fill that void, we made the decision to come up with a platform. Now, anybody who is familiar with the cultural teachings of the Nation of Gods and Earths, knowledge is to look, listen, observe, and most of all, respect all things in existence. And you look at that cultural foundation, there's a term that's attributed to how you take in information. It's called due to knowledge. You know, so you was to ask, you know, someone like, do you hear what I'm saying? You know, a brother or sister might respond and say, I'm doing the knowledge. So this is a systematic scientific approach through which you filter and express and receive information, and you effectively respond. So this is an ode to a rites of passage of a school that I went to. I went through many different schools of thought along, the path and the journey. So an ode to one of these rites of passage. This is, an ode to the name. So we really wanted to actually do the knowledge to look, listen, observe, and most of all respect the contributions, the history, to hear the stories of our ancestors, to hear the stories of our elders, to hear the stories of our peer group, to hear the stories of our future, indiscriminate to spiritual inclination. So we wanted a place where the brothers and sisters can come and celebrate and be celebrated and promote their ideas, promote their knowledge, skills, talents, abilities, and gifts with the world. And we've done that since 2000 and what was it, 2015? Yeah, 2015. We have about 1,120 shows or more to date. And, we are here as a space and a platform for the voiceless. So this is how we continue to operate and move. And from our first episode, Israel in particular has been involved. And the reason for that was seeing the grave misrepresentation of Israelite culture and the grave misrepresentation of Israelite brothers and sisters, which a cultural book, a sacred book that's there, that's your history book, being disrespected, your cultural ideas being misrepresented. I wanted Israel to have a place where they could come express themselves without having to have the swords out, because the swords is out and y'all done cut some folks up over the years. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all done cut some folks up over the years, and it's good to see, but at the same time, you if you do so much cutting, folks never get a chance to get the real. So outside of your particular platforms, I wanted a place for Israel to be seen and heard in a righteous manner. So that's Israel here in the Americas, and that led me to Israel, in Northern Africa, in Dimona, in Tel Arad, and those places, hearing and facilitating their stories, on the platform. So just wanted a space where the truth could be heard without cut and indiscriminate to someone else's, inclinations or anything like that. So to keep it proper and to keep it sacred, you see what I'm saying? Because cultures are sacred, and people who are involved and live and adhere to a culture and a cultural practice, it's sacred. It should be honored. It should be respected. It should be protected. So, that's like an ode to Israel. And one thing that I wanted to say to Israel is that Israel is so critical in the proper growth and development of the cultural dysfunction, whether it's in the Americas or anywhere on the planet. Very, very critical. And I think my brothers and sisters should really, really take heed to what y'all being taught and their modality on how to reach people on every level. Because Israel's doing the work that the Black community used to do, and it's continuing on to do the work that many of these organizations no longer do. They working with brothers and sisters in prison. They working with homeless. They working with brothers and sisters in these street tribes. You understand what I'm saying? So a great amount of effort and commitment should go to the brothers and sisters who are continuing to do this work in the most righteous manner. And I really want to be clear about that. There was a time that, a vast majority of these organizations were out there, and this was the focus. The focus was on the people. So now, even from a virtual perspective, there are no longer brothers and sisters that are vanguards for the resurrection and rise of our people, not working for our liberation. not in an active pursuit of divesting ourselves from our enemies' allures and attachments. You see what I'm saying? But you still see, brothers and sisters standing, holding their post, and doing this work daily. They risking their lives, they risking their livelihood, and all of these things. So I don't want any of these things to be ignored in that process. This is why I Do Knowledge Radio will always have a space for Israel. You know what I'm saying? Those are my brothers and sisters. They've been there for me, throughout this time, and it ain't been nothing but love. And I can't say the same for everybody else. I can't. Just being honest, I can't say the same for everybody else. So, Priest Daniel is my brother. You understand what I'm saying? He called me, I call him. He got a problem, I got a problem. You understand? Like, it ain't nothing. You see what I'm saying? So this, for me, if I did not meet the real brothers and sisters of Yasharal, I would be confused based off of some of the stuff that I hear from some of these people. But you have that in every culture. There's no culture that's out here that don't got misfits. They don't got wannabes. They don't got somebody jockeying for position or whatever the case may be. These things happen inside of cultures and they happen inside of organizations. And this is how organizations become defunct, through dissatisfaction and things like that. So that's what I wanted to make clear real quick.
Excellent. So you have a platform, as I mentioned before, and you mentioned too, it's a good platform, and I think that everyone that goes to your platform feels at home, right? So here's my question to you, and you don't have to be specific, but I kind of want you to speak to this a little bit. You've been around, you've been awoke for a long time. You just gave a story about since 97, you know what I'm saying? You went to the Israelite school in 97. Now we're coming into 2020. That's a long time to be awake, right? Those people that consider themselves to be awake are more divided now than I've ever seen in my life. I'm watching platforms. You have division everywhere. And I don't understand how people can't see the arm of the damn government involved some way, somehow in all of this crap. When I look at the damn conscious community, right, there's a civil war going on amongst the Kemetic community now. First, they was all united against us. Now I'm looking, you got the people that do the shrines, the ones that go to the Kemetic shrines, fighting against the ones that ain't in the shrines. Then I'm looking over at Moorish World TV, and I'm saying that there's a civil war going on amongst the Moors. And they're all fighting amongst each other. And ain't nobody got to tell you, nobody loves fighting amongst each other more than Israelites. Nobody. And we see all this stuff going on, and nobody steps back and says to themselves, wait a minute, something is wrong here. Nobody wants to be the bigger person, right? I'll give you a perfect example, and I'm at liberty to say it because me and the brother, we've mended fences and we're cool, right? There was a falling out between myself, right, and the brother Zion Lex about a couple of years ago, right? And what I noticed is that when we had our falling out, people were taking sides. And it was like, it would have been a civil war. You know what I'm saying? People were ready to go to war. And I said to myself, if there's a big war that goes on amongst Israelites, I'm partially responsible for that thing if I don't watch what I say and how I act. So I had to take a step back and say, you know what? Whatever my differences was with the brother at the time, I'm not saying nothing else on social media. When I got interviewed, I was asked a question specifically about the brother, and they expected me to give a certain answer. And I said, I'm not talking about my brother. If I got something to say, I'm going to tell him, right? So I want you to speak a little bit about what you see going on in the community right now. What sets your platform? I already know, but what sets your platform apart from what we see happening on all these other platforms where it is all out chaos?
Well, that's an excellent question. I can see the lack of organizations. I can see the lack of organization within some organizational construct. When you're not accountable to anybody, when you don't have elders, I set it up like this.
You know what? Can I say something to you?
Culture.
You just sparked me. You just sparked me, right? Now I used to be a 5%er, right? Now I'm gonna let you, because you already know when you violate in the 90s, when you violated, you got a universal what? Remember?
Beat down.
And for
Word.
those y'all that don't know that thing, when I used to be a 5%er, when you violated the codes of the 5%er, there was something called a universal beatdown where the gods put hands on you. You understand what I'm saying? Now in Israelite culture, we don't got that, but we still, there's still a hierarchy. You got to answer for that. You don't have that in the conscious community, and that's what he's saying. But go ahead, King. Go ahead.
Right. When you don't have a situation in a space where you are accountable, when you don't have a situation where, just look at the community, look at the links and the depths that are done to to discredit, to undermine, and to destroy credibility, indiscriminate to who it is. If you have a society that does not honor ancestors, that does not honor elders, that does not honor peer group, that does not honor children, that does not honor family, you don't have a society. You have a graveyard. You have a cemetery. You see what I'm saying? So this community has become a graveyard. This has become a graveyard. This is not the community that my mother and my father sojourned in, and so many others, have sojourned in. This has become, a very divisive, bloodlust, bloodletting, vampiric type of situation, to where this is what I could call the conscious community nowadays the land of Nod. If you look at scripture, like this is the place where Cain was afraid to go after he killed his brother. You see what I'm saying? So when you start looking at this in that aspect, you'll see what it is. It's indiscriminate. It's one day, Dr. Khaled is praised. The next day, I ain't no follower of Dr. Khaled. It's one day. You understand what I'm saying? Like from one day to the next, it doesn't matter. It's anybody can get it. It's a free fall. It's the Wild Wild West. There's no organization. It's only chaos. And in chaos and in situations like that, chaos is the order of the day. It's a liking to a pig. They say a pig will never get full. So once, folks start ingesting this is what they seek after. And I saw these things. And I was like, I got two choices in this situation. I can just condemn it and do nothing, or I could roll up my sleeves and mine through the muck and the mire and find those jewels that exist within the community. So going through the community, rolling my sleeves up, I'm looking, I'm watching, I'm like, yo, nah, that can't be right. Let me holler at somebody and get the real story. Yeah, you seen that, chop, chop, chop. All right, well, let's talk about it. So extending my right hand in fellowship to brothers and sisters along the way, finding people to celebrate, not finding people to start beef and to keep war going on, because we're already at war and we attacked on all fronts. So
I want to say, man, I just want to give you some more to chew on, to be a little more specific. I have watched, right now, listen to what I'm saying. I'm an Israelite, right? I respect strength in my people wherever I see it. This community is slowly, listen good. I made this, when we had the Kemet on trial debate, I said it then, and I could pull the video up, and I see it happening now. This community, not the Israelite community, but the conscious community, is turning Malcolm X into a homosexual.
Right.
They're turning Malcolm X into a homosexual.
Right.
Before our eyes. This community is turning on Francis Cress Welsing. Let me tell you something. The ISIS Papers is a classic book, man. There's so much information in the ISIS Papers. See, some Israelites might run from it because of the title, but if you listen to what she's talking about, man, That sister was dropping it in the ISIS papers, man. And she's being disrespected about it. It's just so much nonsense. Do you feel, I'm going to ask you a two-part question. You can build on this. Do you feel that the community has been infiltrated? Now, I'm going to tell you, if somebody was to ask me about the Israelite community, I would say yes. I know that there's agents in the Israelite community. I know that. I can tell. I study behavior. I know that. Do you feel like the community in general, the conscious community, has been infiltrated, A, and had Khalid Muhammad lived, would that community be the way it is today had he lived and not been, I believe he was assassinated personally. But build on that real quick.
I would say 100% emphatically yes. And I would say that 70 to 80% of the people that are held in high esteem today were the rats, the snitches, the snakes, and the bastards of yesterday. So there are people that are held in high esteem today that were complicit in the destruction of the community, and they gave mind birth to other people in the community through influence, through motives, through a myriad of things. This community as a whole has been ransacked, and people have been victimized, people have been brutalized, people have been miseducated in a place where they were leaving other things supposedly to come into a place where they were supposed to be able to ascend. So I soldiered in a lot of ranks. I soldiered in the Nation of Islam. I soldiered in the Nation of God's Nurse, the Moorish Science Temple, the Wahabians, the Black Panther Party, and some other organizations. And I've seen how this same virus, because everybody wants to go viral, infects and attacks the body, dismantles the immune system, and destroys the body from inside out. The organization, the organs in the body that can no longer function optimally. So we're looking at a dying body, a body being severed in twain, a body being dismembered. That old nursery rhyme, all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put the conscious community back together again. You understand? So it's like Humpty Dumpty taking that fall, So I found myself in these situations looking, and so I was confronted with the choice or to do something. So, this was a rallying cry to take that dirty glass. I know they say there's a dirty glass, clean glass analogy. No, the dirty glass got dirty. You pick up that dirty glass and you clean it out. You see what I'm saying? You clean it out. You put that elbow grease in, you put that work in, and then you put the glass out, and then the glass looks clean again. It has to go through a process. You see what I'm saying? So they're brothers and sisters. I'm glad that they are holding on to some culture that requires some change, some sacrifice, some discipline, from them. I know, folks don't really, rock with Islam over here. I just want you to think of this analogy that I'm saying. You would have a Muslim. He's supposed to be a deadhead, or he's supposed to be lost, or he in idolatry, that prays 5 times a day, that fast in Ramadan, whether Ramadan is in December or Ramadan is in July. So you're talking about the month with the shortest amount of sunlight versus the month with the longest amount of sunlight, and they're doing it. Where is the discipline in the place where the ascension is supposed to take place? You couldn't get a cat to fast for a day over here.
Mm.
Where are the prescriptions for the maladies that afflict our people on a daily? Where can they come to in this community to find answers, to find the medicine that they need for the ailments? These were the cornerstones of the community. You understand what I'm saying? You got conscious information drug dealers running around here.
Oh, man.
With transgender mentalities. You understand? Like, so this gross misrepresentation speaks to us as a whole, and then they go around to each place in specific, breeding and speaking and whispering into the hearts of our brothers and sisters disunity and discontent, dissatisfaction. So there's no regard to man, no regard to woman, and no regard to children. So in that case, you look in scripture, it says, walking up and down to and fro in the earth, seeking whom I should devour. This was your safe haven. Now this becomes your hell that you exist in. You see what I'm saying? So, I know that there's, instances that can speak to that, but this is just my assessment. When you see, these cats out here running around misrepresenting everything, they don't believe in anything, so they misrepresent everything. So that's why I started off with culture, because culture is important. Culture is your way of life. You have a cultural language. You have a cultural arm that reaches, that's encompassing, that governs how you think, act, and feel, and how you act and interface with the world. And you're supposed to be a good ambassador of your culture.
Right. It's supposed to be a walking Bible. In the Israelite community, that's what I said. A lot of times it's not going to be you breaking the scripture down to somebody that's going to win them over to the truth. It's going to be how you carry yourself. And you carry yourself a certain way, and people watch how you carry yourself, and they see what this information does for you. And sometimes it's that wins them over. And even if you're not in the Israelite way of life, it's the same thing. If whatever you're into doesn't change you and make you a better person, then you're not into nothing. You're not into anything. If what you're into doesn't make you change from who you were, then you're not into something. You're not into anything. And that's what I see. I see that a lot of people that call themselves into consciousness of all strains come in carrying that same Negro mentality that they had before they woke up to whatever it is that they're dealing with. And that includes Israel. And it's shameful. It's really shameful to see, And so, I try to be the best I could, like a shining light, and use this platform for good. And I know you do the same thing, which is why I appreciate what you do with your platform. So let's see, what else did I want to ask you about that? I really don't want to get too far into that whole conscious community thing, because we can go on for days with that, what I'm saying, as far as certain things that we see. I will say one thing though. I remember just going back to the whole accusation with Malcolm X that they're trying to say he was a homosexual, right? Notice this book was written after he died. Now, I've been arguing with these guys for years that's what happened to King James. There was no accusation about him being a homosexual when he was alive. That thing came out after he died, and his name is being smeared hundreds of years later. They do that to anybody in history they don't like. They did it to Erasmus. They did it to Casiodoro de Reina. They did it to King James. And they did it to Khalid while he was alive. Remember, I don't know if did you ever see that debate, Khalid Muhammad versus Anthony J. Hilder? I don't know if you ever saw that debate, where Anthony J. Hilder accused Khalid that his college education was funded by the Ford Foundation. Do you remember about that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. They always try to slander the greats of our people. You know what I'm saying? So
him was talking that shit.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Which is messed up in and of itself. But we're we're gonna go ahead and leave that alone because there's a lot that could be said, and it's really sad. But I want to talk a little bit more about your platform. Talk to the people about some of the great names, because you said that you're like, I know you're like 1,100 episodes in, give or take. So for those that don't know, this is my brother Knowledge Born. He has a platform called Do the Knowledge Radio. For those of y'all that are coming in, I see y'all trickling in little by little. He has a platform called Do the Knowledge Radio. They're about 1,100 plus episodes in. And this brother is a big supporter of Israel. This brother has had everybody just about on his show. So I'm returning the favor to the brother. And this brother goes back a long way, man. This brother used to go to the school in Harlem at One West when it was still actually located at One West. So this brother has a very long track record. But I'm going back to your show. Tell the people some of the names that you think that they would recognize that have been on your show, some of your shows. Or some of your favorite shows that you've done that you're proud of.
I was fortunate enough to see, some of these people and have some of these people on the platform when they were still innocent. Y'all know Young Pharaoh. I'll just say, I remember Young Pharaoh before the conscious community. I remember Young Pharaoh. He came to my platform before he met, Sonetta, before he got involved with SETI or any of that. Matter of fact, I had Pharaoh and SETI on the same weekend. And they didn't know each other. Of course, they would meet each other later after the fact. So, Young Pharaoh, SETI, Dr. Umar Johnson, Baba Ashraf Kwesi, Professor James Small, Reverend Phil Valentine, the Pills, Black Dot, A. Rashid, Inky. I had Dr. Gabriel Ayibo on. Our platform was the platform for Damon Israel, Voices of Zion Radio. So my brother Moray Kanaya and those brothers and sisters over there, we were their voice to the diaspora from Israel. I think that was something that was, near and dear to my heart. It was short-lived, but it was near and dear to my heart. The kind of stories and the information that was there. To know the story, I gotta segue real quick. I'm gonna give you a real good explanation why there's no division. So if you look at the Pan-African community, you look at, the brothers and sisters under the red, black, and the green. The Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey gave that flag as a flag of solidarity. The Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey never made it back to Africa. His delegation went to Africa. Now listen to how this plays into the Israelite story. The brothers and sisters that were in Liberia, they came to Chicago and they got His Excellency Ben Ami and his brothers and sisters that left with him and went to Liberia. They protected them in Liberia and they got them to Dimona. If there was a real division, this would have never happened. If there was a real division amongst our people, if we allow something as simple as ideological difference, something that tears apart, then we wasn't supposed to be together in the first place. Now you have a movement of repatriation from the United States in 68, 69 that would lead to the brothers and sisters being over in Israel for 50 years. There can't be a divide in a manner in which we would overlook something like this. And this is something that folks know. So whether folks are hearing it now for the first time or not, you got a Pan-African movement that repatriated, that came back and got some brothers and sisters and took them back to Africa, where they've been for the last 50 years. So when we look at that flag, when we look at these brothers and sisters, they might be misguided out here. You see what I'm saying? They might not be under some leadership that can hold them accountable and that can teach them this kind of history. But we got this history. We got this history, you know, on the platform. We got that story. We got the mind frame from the brother that grew up with His Excellency Ben Ami, who gave us that oral tradition story. And if we weren't who we would have missed that opportunity. If you start looking at, you know, brothers and sisters based on where they stand at, and that be the determining factor, you'll miss it. You know, Priest Danyala was talking about Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad was rolling with brothers and sisters indiscriminate to what particular inclination that they had. The New Black Panther Party for Self-Defense was formed with brothers and sisters from every walk of life. And it was out there soldiering together, whether they was, like, I'm going to say this, and I don't want to come off disrespectful. There was no such thing as the Kemetic community. That's something new. That's something new. There wasn't no Kemetic community like, you know, oh, I'm Kemetic. No, that was proprietary information that was shared amongst a group of people that was sacred, that the outside world ain't have no real contact with. So when you come, you know, you say, oh, I'm Moorish, I'm Kemetic, I'm whatever, blah, blah, blah. The conscious community used to be a place where everybody could come meet and a mutual respect be extended to you from where you were. And the oncomer coming into the community based off of their interest, this is where they went to. You got brothers and sisters, they come, if they was interested in Islam, they sent them to the best of the best in Islam, whether it was Nubian, whether it was Moorish, whether it was Israelite, whatever the case may be. This was the library. This was the damn reference section. You know, now you confusing the janitor who come unlock the library and sweep the floor and take out the trash with somebody who's the librarian. They ain't the librarian, and they ain't the librarian, or they the library. So you got these janitors who was cleaning out the bathroom, who was changing bedpans, who was throwing out the trash and unlocking the library or unlocking the gym. If consciousness is one of these two places, you know, an institution that'll help you feed yourself physically or develop yourself physically and develop yourself mentally. This is what the conscious community was. So we let the janitors trick us into thinking that they did something other than open the door. So you looking at it, and we dealing with that, you know, state of confusion. You see what I'm saying? So looking at the platform, and we got, you know, these brothers and sisters, these esteemed elders that came through from all different, you know, walks of life, and they were celebrated, and they was honored, and they was respected. So that was something that I definitely wanted to encourage and continue to push on, and not allow, you know, these other things to take place. All the distractions that you've seen out of there. Like, why would you invite someone else to argue with them, to disrespect them, to berate them, to misrepresent their way of life for somebody else in your house? Or somebody looking in the window? You see what I'm saying? So this is what views have become. This is what likes have become. I've seen so much of the other stuff happen that I had to remind myself is my family's inheritance. This is connected to my family name. At 10 years old, my mother took me on my 10th birthday to the Harriet Tubman School for her to receive the Harriet Tubman Recipient Award for the work that she was doing in the community with the science of healing and the science of herbs and helping people. Like, I didn't need to know a Dr. Sabi. My mother was Dr. Sabi for me. So this is really not, this is something that I take near and dear to my heart, because this is in my family. This is my family. This is from my mother. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so this connection to the conditions of my birth and all kinds of stuff that took place that led me on the path that I'm on in regards to, you know, celebrating and standing and loving our people. You see what I'm saying? So this platform is an extension of that family love and that family connection, not, because of some book that I read or some people that I was around. That love was established in my family and allowed me to be a catalyst and ambassador for my family line out in the world in our interactions with our people.
Excellent, excellent, man. All right, man. Well, did we miss anything? Is there anything else you wanted to go over?
Nah, I'm good. I'm just thankful for the opportunity to be on Maccabees TV. You understand what I'm saying?
Of course, brother. Well, this is. I want you to consider this your second home. I'm gonna treat you just like you treat me when I come to your platform. You always welcome. Anytime that you want to come on, you give me a call. You on here. If you have some guests, like you sent me a guest before, you have a guest that you want to get on here, send them to me. I'll definitely put them on here, man. So one more time, family, I want go ahead and plug your platform and everything that you know about yourself, how they can reach you. One last time before we get out here, King.
To my, y'all can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Do Knowledge Radio on YouTube, and I'm doing a lot of interviews. So any brother sister out there, and getting on the platform and sharing your particular story, you can hit me there. You can email me, do the knowledge radio at gmail.com. That's DOTHAKNOWLEDGERADIO. Y'all can catch us on Blog Talk, www.blogtalkradio.com/ do the knowledge radio. Again, that's DOTHAKNOWLEDGERADIO. We have apparel available. Y'all can catch us www.dtkapparel.com. And I know many of y'all have seen the shirts and the hoodies and the things that we have. Check out, that apparel on dtkapparel.com. Y'all can follow the show on Instagram at KnowledgeBorn Alive 357 on Instagram, and on Twitter at KnowledgeBorn Alive 3 at KnowledgeBorn 15. There we go. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, it was a pleasure having you on, brother. And I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? I always let you know, man. And we appreciate the work that you're doing, and just keep doing what you're doing, bro. That's it. Don't worry about what nobody else is doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job, man. And we'll talk. I'm gonna go ahead and close out the show. And thanks for coming on again, King.
All right.
All right. Peace and blessings. Definitely. All right. That's my brother, Knowledge Born. I want to thank you, brothers and sisters, for tuning in. Make sure that you brothers and sisters hit the like button if you haven't already hit the like button. Make sure you brothers and sisters subscribe to Maccabees TV if you have not already subscribed. And with that being said, this is your brother Priest Daniela, Lions of Israel, Maccabees Alliance Council, and I say peace and shalom.